It is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. Well, looky here or yonder. It's meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you. And we're talking a little come l'estate, like we say
A
in
little
Italian,
bit.
like the summertime today.
A little bit of refreshing, warm breezes can, but it's that humidity that starts to creep back day by day. So we've enjoyed the very dry conditions, the warm weather. Good morning, everyone. Starting off our day today and tomorrow with clear sky, but the clouds, they return to the picture by tomorrow afternoon, especially to the north and west. Fair weather cumulus clouds, not bringing in any gray skies, at least until Saturday, because that's when the humidity really begins to spike. It also brings back the threat of some storms later on Saturday afternoon. And with that, I think we'll see a little round of wet weather to bring back some storms into the end of Saturday. So plan on a little bit of a stormy finish to the day on Saturday as that front pushes through. Pollen has been a little bit high over the last few days, elevated to the very high level. So weeds also climbing up. And with those storms coming in later Saturday, you see we're dry most of the daylight hours. It's later at night we'll see that wet weather. And then Sunday should clear out nicely with some cooler weather back by Monday and Tuesday of next week. So beyond the dry finish to the work week, I think we'll stay nice and pleasant until that front pushes through. And you can see where it's coming from the Midwest, allowing for the energy to kind of get going and give us our wet weather later Sunday evening. We'll give you more details on what to expect on both coasts coming up with your California forecast in just a few minutes, Ken.
The old California forecast, California, which I will be in tomorrow. So I'll expect a personalized forecast.
You bet.
Meteorologist Mike Favetta, as I straighten my pocket square, do it real formal schmormal. I have friends who could do like the triple, whatever, the little
Sure,
points.
yeah. I
I
just
just
do the
do the old,
puff.
right, the
Uh-huh.
wedding puff. There you
Yeah.
go. And I used to have a guy when I was at Channel 7 who used to say, that doesn't match your suit. It doesn't, every day he would always have a comment, that doesn't match your suit. Thank you, sir. All right, I'm sorry. I'll stop. Good morning to you. And we will check back with you, sir. At 7:02 right now, 56 degrees, 53 in Trenton, but 56 northern New Jersey, California right now, Los Angeles 64, 63 in San Diego. Checking traffic right now in the Northeast here in New Jersey. We have a disabled vehicle, Route 17 northbound, north of Route 4 in Paramus. Center lane of 3 lanes closed right now. And you can see the mess that that's causing already at 7 o'clock in the morning. On the Turnpike, we have an issue already, too. New Jersey Turnpike, we have a crash in a roadway northbound, south of Interchange 4 in Newark. All lanes currently open, but very, very slow through that area. We have a crash investigation on 206, and that's impacting traffic both directions north of the Route 601 interchange. That's Montgomery Township. All lanes are currently closed there. Hudson River crossings, we are told that the Lincoln Tunnel is 25 to 30 minutes in. The Holland Tunnel right now, Route 78, going to 139. You can see the folks on the left side of your screen. That's the right tube they're going to. And it's actually moving. So it's heavy, but that's more volume. It's only about 25 to get in right now. So that's not a bad bet. And the GWB already starting to build at this early hour at 7:03. We take a look at the 8095 approach. Upper level be on the right side of your screen, lower on the left. It is only about 30 minutes in, which is good for morning rush for the GWB. But for this early hour, that's already starting to build. It is 4 minutes after 7. As owner and editor of Binge, Tom Bergeron spends his days traveling across the state of New Jersey, meeting with business leaders, government officials, and community stakeholders to understand how these developments are impacting residents and employers alike. All when we say these developments, we mean all the business developments in the state. And he joins us now with a look at what's making headlines across the beautiful Garden State. Good morning to you, Tom.
Ken, good to be here. I've got my summer outfit on. It's going to hit high, so we're going for the cooler wear today.
Well, listen, I'm wearing shorts. So just not that you can now you can't unsee that knee, which I know. I'm sorry, sir. There's a bottle of Tums on the way to your office right now. You've been covering the launch of South Jersey Connect. This is a new regional bus service, and it's supposed to improve our transportation options because we don't have a lot in New Jersey. And I know that train rail is always very expensive, but this is a nice option. So why is it such a significant development for South Jersey?
So it's funny. I've made 2 trips to South Jersey in the last 3 days, and the joke down there is, the folks in North Jersey just assume the Atlantic City Expressway starts at the Parkway and ends at the Borgata. There's actually a whole other country down there, so to speak. So the first stop was to introduce South Jersey Connects. And this was interesting in our 250th anniversary. South Jersey claimed taxation without representation. It was a pretty funny line because they were contributing to the corporate transit fee, but yet there's no NJ Transit down there. Mm-hmm. So they work with Governor Murphy, they work with Governor Sherrill, they work with Chris Calori, and they've created South Jersey Connects. It's a series of 20 passenger microbuses. Right now they have 6 routes that go around South Jersey. And it's more than just, hey, we're going to bring you some access because we don't have enough trains down there. They talked about how that's going to impact workforce development because people can get to school that they couldn't before. They can get to jobs that they couldn't before. They can get to healthier food options that they couldn't before. So it really was a nice example of government taxation actually going to something good as opposed to just an endless pot that we don't know what happens. And, they launched it. It's a pilot program, but they're expecting it to stay and they're expecting it to massively grow.
Tom, we have done almost 1,500 interviews since this show has begun. And one of the issues that comes up consistently whenever we talk to healthcare providers in South Jersey is if there's a government program for, say, expectant women, et cetera, there's no way for them to get to where they have to be. If they're poor and they need to get to a doctor, OBGYN care, they can't travel. And there's a scarcity of medical facilities in South Jersey. We have them on every block in all the congested northern New Jersey cities. So you're right. It's really, truly unfair. And it is a tale of two chunks of a state. Can't say two cities.
So you're leading the witness here. Yesterday, I was down in Gloucester Township and Cooper announced the creation of a 184,000 square foot ambulatory center right next to the mall. Everybody jokes about that. They did it once near Morristown Mall. Great parking, easy access, all of that kind of stuff. So this is a $300 million project. Governor Sherrill came down. Cooper's going to launch it. And the one thing that George Norcross and Kevin O'Dowd and Kevin Mazzarelli were saying at the event was, look, we're going to be open nights and we're going to be open weekends. And you could even maybe get surgery on a Wednesday night or surgery on a Saturday morning. So they were really what you were getting to. They were trying to provide more healthcare options and at times when people might need it. I mean, all of us can't be available at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday to get something done. So it's another example of Cooper leading the way to try to expand access to healthcare, but expand access at the time when people need it, not just at the time when it's convenient for the healthcare facility. So hats off to them for that.
Yeah, and if you build it, they will come. If you want some of the population overdose, if you will, in the northern cities to move and go places so that the population density isn't as severe, provide the services somewhere else and maybe they'll check it out. But right now, if you're an elderly person, say, or even whatever, young person who might be pregnant or might have a prevailing illness of some sort, can you go to the middle of nowhere unless you have good transportation? And even if you do have personal transportation, do you want to drive an hour and a half to get to where you got to go every time you have to see the doctor? So absolutely necessary. And yeah, that is definitely a step in the right direction. So what have you been hearing from business leaders in the region about the impact that improved transportation could have on workforce development and economic growth in those areas?
Again, it's twofold because you not only are expanding educational opportunities, right? And anytime you can raise any level of academic accreditation, that's great. But now with greater workforce, it enables them to attract more workers. Look, the one thing you see in South Jersey, they actually have something called land. They can build more things. They can build a facility. They can build a manufacturing plant. They can build a corporate headquarters. It's just a matter of getting people there. We don't appreciate that you can live in northern New Jersey without a car. You can't live in South Jersey without a car. They're trying to make that better. And if you can increase the population, increase the availability to jobs and workforce, and then it just feeds off of each other. One thing Assembly Majority Leader Greenwald was saying to me was, this could spur a housing boom, right? We need housing in the state. If we can create more jobs down here, now you have more people getting better jobs, making more money. They can afford better housing, so we can build more housing. Then we build more housing. We're going to build more jobs. We're going to build more shopping centers. It all feeds off of each other. So good healthcare and good transportation is a key to growing. In South Jersey, again, we joke about the AC Expressway. It's more than just Atlantic City on one side and Camden on the other. There's a whole lot in between that's really growing and booming, and it was great to see this week.
Tom, when we do our traffic updates, we try to cover as much of the state as possible. And one of the things we focus on in order to keep our viewership there in South Jersey is we need to have more roadway reports in South Jersey. And sadly, my answer is There aren't that many roadways. I mean, yeah, there are in Southwest as you get toward Philadelphia, but Southeast, it's like how many roads go through Vineland? Not a lot, and that's one of the regional cities. And so, yeah, you're right, and there will be a population shift if the resources are there everywhere in America. I mean, think 150 years back when the railroad came through the cities or the little villages, suddenly they became cities. It's just one thing needs to lead the way, and that's all that happens. So just shifting gears a little, another story that you've been following, of course, huge news just in the last few days. Samsung's decision to leave Englewood Cliffs, especially right after opening the new headquarters, and they're going to consolidate operations in Texas. So why has this attracted so much attention?
So look, it's real easy for Samsung to say, we've got a lot of other plants and facilities in the Plano, Dallas area. That's great. It makes sense. But it also made sense 12 months ago when they decided to move to Englewood Cliffs. So the question is that nobody's answering is why specifically are we doing? Is it some of the revenue raisers that the governor is going to introduce in her budget? Is it just the desire that this is too expensive to do business? Is Texas really that much of a better option? Look, New Jersey, especially on the international scene, right? This is a company based in Korea. New Jersey always touts its education, our K through 12 system, far superior to Texas. It attracts our workforce, educated workforce it has. We tout our pockets of ethnic communities. Every single ethnic community in the country, in the world, is in New Jersey, including a large Korean population in North Jersey. So for them to say we're going to move to Texas raises eyebrows, and Texas has a lot to bring to people. But the number one aspect is a lower cost of living and a lower business taxes. That's why they're attracting so many companies from California too. So they've created their own little tech center in the middle where they say, hey, come here. It's cheaper to live and the taxes are lower. So we'll have to see where that goes. But it's another Fortune 500 company leaving the state. This is going to be a good test for, Governor Sherrill and Lieutenant Governor Caldwell have talked a lot about doing right by business, which has been welcomed by the business community. This is going to be a true test of what they can do.
It's going to be tough. And I know more so for the financial firms in New York and New Jersey who say that they can't financially compete when the cost of doing business is so high, and they could just simply relocate to Texas and have, 30% lower costs, and that way they can be competitive. With Samsung, that's a little bit of a different story. You're dealing with tech, so we'll see. But obviously, they may be playing follow the others. I can't say follow the leader because they're one of the leaders, but follow the others because others have gone there. But time will only tell, sir. What is your website? Remind everybody the Binge website, please.
Binge.com, BINJE.com. Business in New Jersey every day, or business in New Jersey everywhere, because we cover the state. I'm getting ready to head to Jersey City later, and I'll be in Monroe tomorrow and South Jersey earlier. Love seeing the state, love and talking to businesses.
Well, Tom, I could speak as a former Catholic priest. It is the Bible. It is the Bible of New Jersey business. You have to check it out. Binge, BINJE.com. Tom Bergeron, our dear friend, owner and editor of Binge. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, my friend. Safe travels to Jersey City.
My pleasure.
You bet. It is 13 minutes past the hour. When we return, professional beach volleyball back in a big way, and one of the most iconic East Coast stops has returned to the Jersey Shore. And meteorologist Mike Favetta with a summertime forecast, even though we're not quite there yet. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Thursday, live in New Jersey and New York, and now we welcome Los Angeles and San Diego, our California channel on LACA. It's 16 minutes past the hour. Taking calls at 888-658-0234. Friend meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast no matter what the coast you're on. Good morning.
Good morning, Ken. A beautiful way to start the day, nice and dry and warm and sunny. Similar to yesterday, we get another round of sunshine with clear sky up and down the East Coast. It looks beautiful. But you look back toward the Midwest, and that's where our weather is coming for the weekend. Likely see by Saturday afternoon some storms arrive. It'll be ahead of this cold front, which drops the temperature into Sunday and Monday and sees those temperatures plunge once we get down into, say, Monday, Tuesday timeframe. Out west, though, you see a lot of clear sky there, but there's this wind off of the water that's allowing for that marine layer to develop each and every morning. And then into next week, another frontal system moves into the northwest, and that's what brings in clouds and showers up there. So again, with the clear sky around today, it is beautiful, a little bit cooler than average today, but I think by tomorrow, we'll see that warmer trend take over. And with it, excuse me, any storms stay far out to sea as this high pressure kind of digs its heels in, pushing further south each and every day. As it moves east, though, you see the showers and storms start to trek eastward as well, and that'll arrive as soon as Saturday afternoon, providing a little bit of cloud cover and continued on and off sprinkles, I think, by Sunday afternoon. But then the cool weather gets going, it'll look and feel much more pleasant by the time we get to the middle of next week. We'll give you those details coming up, Ken, with another check of your forecast in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. It is 18 minutes past the hour, 56 degrees northern New Jersey, 58 Trenton, Los Angeles, 62, 62 San Diego. Couple of traffic incidents to tell you about on the Goethals. Disabled truck eastbound on the New York side right now. Left lane is currently blocked. That's causing a mess. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, we have a crash. Eastern spur northbound north of the southern mixing bowl in Newark. All lanes currently open, but traffic is very heavy. Route 206 crash investigation impacting traffic both directions north of Trent Place, Montgomery Township. All lanes currently closed. Back to the Turnpike, disabled vehicle in the inner roadway, northbound north of interchange 13A by Newark Airport. So if you're heading to the airport, that's going to cause some real nightmares for you today. We have a disabled on Route 17. This is northbound north of Route 4 Paramus, center lane of 3 lanes closed. And again, back to the Turnpike. We have 3 different things. And this one now is a crash at the inner roadway northbound north of interchange 14, 1 and 9 in Newark. Your Hudson River crossings right now, the Holland Tunnel, making your way from Route 78 on 139 into the tubes. You'll take a look and see that the right tube, so that'll be the left side of your screen, fairly heavy right now. If we have 139, let's see. We don't? Okay. All right, let's go to the GWB. I'll tell you right now. Lincoln Tunnel is 25 minutes in. The Holland Tunnel is about 30 to 35. GWB? There we are. We got a camera. GWB is on the right side. You can see is your upper level. Left side is lower level. And right now we are told it is 35 minutes in from that point. To Los Angeles, just a couple of things to tell you about because it's only 4:30, 4:19, I should say, in the morning there. Traffic collision on in West LA at the 405 and Wilshire Boulevard off-ramp. A crash right now on the 105 at Vermont Avenue off-ramp in South LA. And another crash right now in South LA, Santa Monica Boulevard at East 133rd Street. Well, speaking of California, professional beach volleyball is back in a big way, only not necessarily in the California side, but East Coast side. One of its most iconic East Coast stops has returned to the Jersey Shore. The Association of Volleyball Professionals recently kicked off its 2026 AVP League season in Belmar, bringing some of the world's top beach volleyball athletes, including Olympians and international stars. The AVP will also transform New York City's Central Park into a world-class beach volleyball venue as part of its nationwide tour. Robert Corvino is the CEO of the Association of Volleyball Professionals. We like to call it AVP. We insiders. We say good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on. And you're kicking things off in Belmar here, just opened the season there. So how exciting was it to bring professional beach volleyball back to the Jersey Shore? And what was the response like?
Yeah, it was a fantastic start to the season in Belmar. The crowd brought the energy and excitement we knew they would. It's the first time we've been back in since 2014, so there's a lot of built-up excitement, and we really crushed it. The weather was a little tricky on Saturday, windy, but the athletes adjusted beautifully, and made for really some fun conditions. And then Sunday was a picture perfect Jersey Sewer day. So we had a great weekend.
And Belmar, of course, has a long history with the AVP. I said Belmar, excuse me. Long history with the AVP. What makes it such a special destination for beach volleyball players and fans alike?
Well, the sport is just growing, bursting at the seams and growing exponentially. So it's great to see that the junior participation going on in the Jersey Shore up and down the coast really supports the sport of beach volleyball, and it continues to really be a great place for us to bring the sport.
And I think a lot of folks may not realize the AVP League, we're talking Olympians, medalists, some of the best athletes in the world. These aren't just a couple of kids who said pick up volleyball. These are pro athletes.
Exactly. Yes, these aren't just the best beach volleyball athletes in the world. These are the best athletes in general, and these are, we have gold medalists, we have NCAA national champions, really incredible group of athletes.
I had a friend who used to play volleyball a lot in South Florida, a very dear friend of mine, and he describes volleyball. He said it's like soccer on a smaller field. And what he meant by that is every muscle in your body is working, but you're not running 400 feet, but you are constantly sprinting in short distances. It is a constant workout. You always have to be on your feet. Every player is playing at all times. Is that a pretty good description?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the toughest sports to play, but it's easy on the body, luckily. But yeah, it certainly puts your body to the test.
Good for the cardiovascular for sure. How does the team-based league structure work, by the way, and why has it been such a success?
Yeah, so building off of the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris and what they created with a beach volleyball court right in front of the Eiffel Tower, we wanted to bring that here in the United States and really provide this sport a platform for iconic venues across the country, from coast to coast. So the league base is made up of 8 city-based teams. Each city team has a men's duo and a women's duo, and we play a regular season 8-week season, and then it culminates in a championship over Labor Day weekend on Oak Street Beach in Chicago.
Cool. Robert, talk about what's going on in July in Central Park.
Yes, we're going to be returning back to Central Park July 18th and 19th. We bring 300 tons of sand into Woolman Rink. So we build a big sandbox right there in Woolman Rink. It's a fantastic place to bring the sport, and we're looking forward to being there again this year.
Now, Robert, when you bring in 300 tons of sand, does that mean you also have to bring out 300 tons of sand afterward?
We do. We end up donating a lot of the sand to the courts there in Central Park, as well as other areas around the tri-state area. But it's tricky getting in and out for sure.
Wow, that cannot be easy to do or inexpensive, I'm sure. But you can't have volleyball unless you got the sand, so that's very cool. And Central Park is a very exciting place, a great venue to play. Is it more because of the fact that you're probably introducing volleyball to a lot of like urbanites who may not experience it up front, or just the fact that it's the middle of New York City and you have such a population around you?
Well, a little bit of both, right? I think that this sport has been traditionally associated, as you mentioned, with Southern California. And I think with the growth of the sport and bringing it from coast to coast, we want to make sure that we have representation here on the East Coast. There's a huge following and a support system here within the beach community. And last year we sold out tickets in about a week. There's still a few tickets available for this year, but they're going fast, and we're really looking forward to it.
I was in Portugal, I guess I'm getting confused, age, but I was in Portugal last summer, and where we were on the Algarve, we saw all these volleyball courts lined up, and they had league volleyball there. And we didn't realize, we just happened to be across the street at a cafe having lunch, and we just watched the play going on. It was unbelievable, and they attracted a ton of people. Is it growing all over the world like that? I mean, I didn't realize it would be that huge in Portugal.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing all over the world. And we're looking to bring some of those international talents here to the United States on the AVP. We had an event in Huntington Beach a few weeks ago where we invited some international teams to come compete. It was very well received. The athletes love being here. So we're looking to build off of that in the future for sure.
Very cool. And I noticed, by the way, the crowds were everybody. You had old, young, male, female. Everybody was packing that. It's just there's something for everybody. It is an exciting sport. Some people like to say, "Oh, soccer's not exciting," but volleyball is exciting. And you have to be basically in cardiac arrest not to have some excitement derived from watching volleyball. It's fantastic. Give us a website for more information, Robert.
Sure, yes. You can go to avp.com for tickets and more information on the league and on the players, and hope to see you out there.
Well, that's awesome. This is exciting. Please come back, tell us more, especially as you guys go through the tour up and down the coast or wherever you go. We want to hear more about it. Obviously, this is going to continue to explode because people love a great sport. Volleyball's a great sport. Robert Corvino, CEO of the Association of Volleyball Professionals, and these are true professional athletes. Robert, thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. It is coming up on 28 minutes past the hour. The phone line's wide open. We'll take your calls. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you for the East Coast. It is going to be sweltering today, 90 degrees. A little cooler on the West Coast, nice and dry in Los Angeles. I'll be there tomorrow. In fact, it's only going to be in the low 80s. I'm Ken Rosato. You are watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We are coming back in 2 minutos. Don't go away. And a very good morning, 30 minutes past the hour, Thursday, June 4th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. I'm on the East Coast and the West, and also a little bit of Florida, too. It is good to have you on. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has a forecast near you. And Mike, if I am correcto in taking a look at your forecast online, is New Jersey going to be the hot spot of those 3 locations?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be really warm. Upper 90s at times this weekend. I know, really, really hot stuff, but it doesn't last. It's like a one-day sale. And then it's right back to the cooler weather with some showers as soon as Saturday afternoon. So Saturday is the day to stay cool, especially with all that heat and humidity that starts to build. And it's not even oppressive levels of humidity, just a little bit of warm weather that comes in briefly ahead of all of these storms that start to cool us down when they arrive by Saturday afternoon. Behind that, another round of dry weather. That's what California is enjoying at the moment, with clear sky there little bit of that cool cloud cover along the coast, making it a few miles inland, but ultimately parting ways and giving way to sunshine by the afternoon. I think Saturday could have a little bit of afternoon cloud cover, but beyond that, plan on the early morning marine layer, back to the sunshine. Great weather for Ken as he's visiting the left coast. Lots of sunshine there, at least every afternoon. So with that, we look ahead to some cloudy conditions that'll be arriving early next week. That is after several days of all of this clear sky. So it's all of these showers and clouds in the Midwest that ultimately make their march eastward, delivering some rainfall by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. And with that, you'll see the clouds slowly increase, I think, later tomorrow afternoon and into Saturday morning. And then by Sunday, also have another quick brief shower that could come through, mostly clouds. And then it's a little bit cooler with that drier northerly breeze again taking over into next week, cooling us off into Wednesday and Thursday. So we'll likely see a little bit of a dip in temperature when we get to that time frame. This time next week. We'll tell you more about that coming up with your 7-day forecast, Ken. It's all in just a few minutes.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. In terms of traffic now, we should say it's 57 degrees northern New Jersey. It is 58 Trenton. It's 62 now in Los Angeles, 63 degrees in San Diego. Now we move on and tell you about traffic. Problems now on the New Jersey Turnpike. We have a crash on the Eastern Spur northbound, north of the Southern Mixing Bowl in Newark. Take a look at what we have here, and that is the crash. You see a truck there. So it's not impacting traffic massively, but you can see they're going pretty slowly past it. That happens. Folks just trying to be careful as they go past, so just beware of that as you make your way, again, near the Southern Mixing Bowl on the Jersey Turnpike. Route 206 now. Crash investigation both directions north of Trent Place in Montgomery Township. All lanes currently closed. Over to the Goethals Bridge, we have a disabled truck eastbound on the New York side. Left lane is currently blocked, causing real issue for folks as they're trying to make their way over the bridge. And your Hudson River crossings, Lincoln Tunnel is not so bad right now. It's only about 20 minutes in. Holland's 25 to 30. I don't know if we have, there we go, the 139. So you see the left tube. Those two lanes of traffic are going to the left tube, and you can see that they're basically stopped right now. Not basically, they're actually stopped right now. So that'll cost you 35. And the GWB upper and lower levels right now, 80-95 approach. The upper level will be on the right side of your screen, lower on the left. And that's right now not so bad. That's actually about a 25-minute ride in. Much better with the bright sunshine in your face than being stuck in a tube somewhere, I'm sure. On to the West Coast, Los Angeles, Santa Fe Springs. Traffic collision on the 60 at Crossroads Parkway. Also in Santa Fe Springs, there's a traffic collision, no injuries on the 60 by the 7th Avenue off-ramp. And we have a collision that was just reported now in South LA at the 105 and Vermont Avenue off-ramp. I love how the translation of where accidents happen on the East Coast and West are just like you need two different dictionaries to interpret what the off-ramps and on-ramps, et cetera. I'm learning little by little, our friends in California. Speaking of which, 7:34 is our time, East Coast, 4:34 West, and a hostage standoff at a California bank building ended after a 15-hour enforcement operation. The suspect barricaded himself inside after an initial bomb threat call. That prompted a major response. Of course, FBI and local police negotiated during the standoff while surrounding the building. Authorities say the suspect was killed during an officer-involved shooting at the scene. All the hostages were safely released, and they were given medical evaluation after they were found inside. Police have not yet talked about details on motive, and the investigation remains ongoing. 35 minutes past, and a Pennsylvania volunteer firefighter has been arrested. And we've heard this story before, for allegedly setting 3 fires in a 30-hour period. Psychologists have all sorts of theories about it, and they call it things like the hero complex, where they set fires, allegedly in this case, set fires in order to come and put out the fire to look like the hero to other people. Well, investigators say one fire occurred near the home of his former boss who had fired him, so there may have been intent there, again, allegedly. Authorities believe that he later responded to at least 2 of the fires with his fire company. Evidence linked his vehicle and surveillance footage to all 3 arson incidents. The suspect admitted involvement during questioning, according to investigators and court documents. Remember, innocent until proven guilty. He is currently in custody awaiting a preliminary hearing on multiple arson-related charges. Well, CBS News has fired veteran correspondent Scott Pelley after a confrontation with the new 60 Minutes leadership, new executive producer. The dispute followed a heated staff meeting the other day about the program's future direction and editorial control. Basically, Pelly, in front of all the staffers at 60 Minutes, well, got a little arrogant. Now, whether you like what's going on at 60 Minutes and CBS or not, that's not the issue. The issue is he has a new boss, new executive producer, whether the guy has 1 day of experience in the business or 100 years. Pelly accused management of incompetence, looked right into his executive producer's face and basically said, "You'll never be respected here. You don't know what you're doing. Basically, you don't deserve to be here, you plebeian." And he was cited by CBS as performing incivility and contempt. You think? The firing deepens ongoing turmoil at 60 Minutes under new corporate ownership and leadership changes. Now, that doesn't mean that Scott Pelley isn't a phenomenal journalist. He is. Is he a dumbass? Big time. That comes from me. Met the man. Dumbass. You don't do dumbass things and expect that you will have a good outcome. Methinks the only reason Scott Pelley would do that is he wanted to be out of his contract. Otherwise, you don't do something that stupid. He spent 4 decades at CBS. I guarantee MS Now. Yes, he will own MS Now with his dear friends, and he'll be on within the year. Guarantee. He would not have done what he did if he didn't have a job lined up. But it is kind of obnoxious and not a good example to set to other employees to do that. You could disagree with management, but you could have a professional discussion with them without saying you will never be respected here. This is a golden institution. Well, your numbers are about 30%. What they were just 2 years ago, 60 Minutes. You're down to about 48 minutes. So maybe chill your horses a little bit. It is 37 minutes past. NASA has declared its MAVEN spacecraft at Mars permanently lost after 6 months of silence. The probe went silent after entering a fast spin that disrupted orbit and drained its batteries. Now, they have declared spacecraft in the past dead. And then 2 years later, when there's a windstorm and it moves it, and all of a sudden the solar panel gets energy from the sun and suddenly it wakes up. So who knows what will happen? But for now, it appears dead. The battery's drained. It was launched in 2013. MAVEN studied the Martian atmosphere. Very cool pictures. Long-term climate evolution as well that could potentially help us. It also helped relay communications between Earth and Mars rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance. A NASA review board concluded the spacecraft cannot be recovered or restored, but they concluded that with other vehicles in the past. We'll see. Scientists praised MAVEN for major discoveries about Mars's atmospheric loss and history. Again, we got 12 good years out of it. Even if it cost $500 million, that's amortize that. Works out pretty well. It is 39 minutes past. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security canceling most pending contracts initiated under former Secretary Kristi Noem. Really makes you scratch your head here. This is according to the current secretary. It is a move that follows congressional scrutiny and an internal watchdog review of her contracting practices. This is a person who spent hundreds of millions of dollars to show her on a horse and promoting Department of Homeland Security like it was a new burger chain. Really, really, really makes you wonder about her judgment. Sorry, but really. During a hearing before the House of Representatives Homeland Security Committee, Secretary Markwayne Mullin, who seems like a much more no-nonsense person, faced questions from a top Democrat about what steps he had taken to cancel Noem-era contracts. Don't know about you, but I'm very happy to see he's doing this. Save some money. You can't be the party that talks about the other party wasting money, and then you spend $300 million on a campaign with hair and makeup, and you're all glammed up on a horse trying to look tough. The move is part of a broader effort by Mullin to unwind contracting practices under Noem that drew bipartisan criticism. And I'm assuming this will draw bipartisan support. The United States announced new tariffs on imports from dozens of countries over forced labor concerns. Officials say many trading partners failed to enforce laws preventing goods made with forced labor. The tariffs range from 10 to 12.5%, depends on the country involved and how poorly they treat their people. Major economies include the UK, EU, Canada, and India affected by the policy. Several governments and human rights groups criticize the tariffs as ineffective or politically motivated. The Trump administration argues the move levels the playing field for American workers and businesses. It is about time. We do things like we penalize Americans for sipping out of a straw, and then we let a country like India literally dump all of its trash into its rivers and oceans while we're not doing it, and we make our own people feel guilty for taking a tissue and, Meanwhile, literally tons of toxic waste gets dumped by India, and then we make it sound like, well, like they're poor waifs and they don't know any better. No, they're a tech center. India knows what it's doing. They just save a lot of money by just dumping into the ocean, and it's about time they be called to task for it. It is 41 minutes past the hour. Uber released its annual Lost and Found Index, highlighting unusual items left in rides. In other words, what's the crap you left in the back of my cab? Well, my Uber. Commonly forgotten items, phones, of course, everybody, it falls out of your pocket, wallets, keys, fitness gear. There are a couple of wacky things like dentures, a wedding gown. How do you forget your freaking wedding gown? Live butterflies, and a dishwasher. Oops, I forgot my dishwasher. Must be in the trunk. Good Lord, a dishwasher. This year's index showed increased losses of collectible toys, vapes. I can understand that. Unusual personal items. I think we won't talk about some of those personal items. I actually saw a list and it's not meant for morning television. Uber is introducing app updates to make reporting and returning lost items easier for users. Well, it's sort of shaped like, well, never mind, you could keep it or throw it out. 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, it could be weeks until all the votes are counted in California. Crazy. Plus, President Trump just released a new line on his Truth Social talking about how honest things are there in the count in California. How do you start out with 60% of the vote in and you're ahead, your guy's ahead by 8 points, and then like a whole bushel full of votes just comes in and all the votes go to the Democrat, none to the Republican. We're going to talk about that. News Nation's Elizabeth Pran will join us right down the middle, as she always is, and she will do both sides. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. 45 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast in your city. And I ask you, Mike, you've taken, I'm sure, ride shares, Uber and Lyft. Have you ever left your dishwasher in your Uber?
That's a new one. That's a new one. I mean,
What did you forget? I have
size.
social going right now. We're doing Instagram Live over here and pointing over there. Hi, Instagram Live. The question is like, and folks are saying, how do you possibly forget I can understand, like you took a phone call, you said, just give me a second. You ran out. Even that's like not the brightest bulb, in the world move to do that. But how do you forget and just like move on? It's like the whole purpose of having the Uber transport your well, never mind. We could spend a whole show on that, and we won't.
It sounds like a
Good
scam, if
morning.
you ask me. A little bit of something going on there. Maybe insurance. Just a dishwasher, right? Doesn't
Exactly.
add up. Doesn't add up.
No.
Well, no matter what you're doing today, Ken, whether you're finding your dishwasher, losing your dishwasher, buying a new one, it's great weather to do so. We've got beautiful skies up and down the East Coast, and maybe head to the beach on a day like today with that very pleasant weather around. Nice calm seas. Again, lifeguards not on duty yet during the week. But as you head into the afternoons, look at these temperatures that will warm well into the 80s and even 90s ahead of this cold front, which delivers a little bit of rain later Saturday afternoon before we get into the clear skies for Sunday morning, and then another quick passing shower for Sunday afternoon. So keeping an eye to the sky this weekend for some changes in the forecast. That is, after a really sunny and warm start each day. The warmth will be around for the next 2 weeks at least. This warmer and drier pattern takes over, that shade of yellow across the northeast indicating some drier than usual conditions. And yes, it lines up with the drought, especially where the drought is hitting hardest, that is, down across the southeast, keeping an eye there where the warmest and driest weather remains. But out west, technically no drought in California, so good news there, Ken. Maybe you'll start to see some lush green out on the coastline when you're there this weekend.
When I'm stepping over the homeless and the needles and stuff, yeah, and there's nothing like street vomit and feces when you're all dressed up and trying to get to a Rush concert in Los Angeles. I'm telling you, it's just lovely. Looking forward to it. Actually, a friend of mine, I probably shouldn't say this, but a friend of mine is a very high-ranking city official in the city of Beverly Hills. I won't say his name. I'll give you that much, but won't say his name. And he's actually a friend of our friend Jeff Vaughn, the anchor at on the West Coast there on LACA channel. And so this person has told me, I said, so what's going on with that? He said, I have absolutely no comment. He just said with a coy smile I could hear, and I've known him for 40 years. So if he's going to stay quiet, it'll be an interesting encounter. All right, sir, we'll check back with you. Appreciate you as always. It is 7:48 East Coast, 4:48 West, 60 degrees, northern New Jersey, 58 in Trenton right now, Los Angeles, 62 and 62 in San Diego. In terms of traffic right now, we have a New Jersey Turnpike disabled vehicle, outer roadway, northbound south of interchange 13A, which is going to take you to Newark Liberty International Airport. And it's never good when you have a blocked lane, but the right lane is blocked there. Pam, can you please pick up the 206 tour, 206, and go to the very first camera on the 206 circle there? You'll see. We'll see if we can bring that up right now. I'll tell you about one other issue right now, and that's as you approach the GWB, there are truck restrictions in place to let you know. Eastbound, all lanes are open, but commercial vehicles exiting from Route 46 to exit 73. Yes, you got it. Right now, there is a restriction to the express lanes. All right, let's bring up 206 if we can. So 206, all you got, I mean, it looks pretty. I love this, but I guess the locals consider that traffic. That must be so full of traffic for the locals in Montgomery Township. Montgomery Township is a lovely place, by the way, but it is not quite Union City. And that is traffic. So that just gives you an idea of perspective. I had to show that because the folks there are saying that this is traffic. God bless them. God bless them. Meanwhile, we should show this. Let's go to Route let's go to 192 or 139. Show 139 going into the Holland Tunnel, shall we? And this is for the folks in Montgomery Township. Now compare what you just saw to that. What would you rather be in? I'll take Montgomery Township. This is your way into the Holland Tunnel. That's going to cost you 40 minutes. It's 35 right now. Lincoln Tunnel, GWB upper and lower levels, really not that bad on a beautiful morning. Hot, but beautiful morning. And you're talking 35 minutes in right now. Better is the left side is the lower level. Right side is upper. Either way, 30 to 35 is a good ride into Manhattan. West Coast now, quickly, we have a traffic collision. Santa Fe Springs at the 60 and Crossroads Parkway. And then we have a collision in South LA at the 105 and Vermont Avenue off-ramp. It could be weeks until all the votes are counted in California. So why are they literally the worst state in the nation when it comes to counting votes? Why does it matter? Because the people chosen as Congress members could shift the balance of power in Washington so it directly impacts you and me, no matter what state we live in. Here to talk about it this morning is News Nation's Elizabeth Pran, a journalist, mom, and wife, host of the Raising America podcast. Yeah. Elizabeth, seen every week at this time here on Mornings. We say good morning to you, my friend.
You know, Ken, the news gods, they blessed us this morning because the president is currently lighting up social media about this delay, which is not unusual or unexpected, right? We talk about this every time there is an election. The nation's most populous state seems to take forever. And that's because you have this voting absentee culture. It is essentially just all vote by mail. And there's 39 million people, certainly not 39 million people who voted, but you get the idea, the sheer quantity. So if you look back to 2020, because I said, how long did it take? Now, that was a long time ago, but it gives you an example. Those results didn't come in. Again, that was different. It was the general, but it took about a month. We are not going to have a month to wait who is in the runoff to be the next mayor and the next governor. But I think we need to be sort of just waiting as that tick continues to that clock continues to tick. So how does the president feel about it? This is what I was saying, the headlines this morning. He is lighting up social media. I have some notes on my computer because I didn't want to put words into his mouth, right? He is writing in part, there's big cheating by the Democrats in California. Votes are all tied up. He said there's a federal investigation underway. Writing in part, the Democrats are at it again. They are trying to steal the governor of California primary and the mayor of Los Angeles primary away from two great Republican candidates. Is there proof of that? No. Am I reading to you because it's on social media? Yes. But that is, all that being said, there are accusations, but this takes forever. What we can say right now, Ken, as you see the results, Karen Bass is in the runoff. Who's going to face her? Looks like Spencer Pratt at this point, but Rahman isn't too far behind. That being said, it gives us something to chit chat about, Ken. I mean, it's never a dull moment out in California.
You know, California is an amazing state. 39 million voters, and they receive 72 million votes, and it's just shocking how that happens. I just, I think what happens. My friend, I almost gave his name away. The guy who's an official in Beverly Hills, I just talked about. I think what they do is they send like 5 or 6 extra ballots in case you make a mistake on one, and you shouldn't really send all 5 or 6 back. You know that. But this is the thing. I think that. The attitude about voting in California is the attitude about everything else in California. So what? So we sent them 12 extra ballots. I know personally, again, anecdotal, I know 2 different people who regularly receive 2 or 3 extra ballots because their name was spelled on some application once off by 1 letter. And they have called the local officials and told them, I got 3 ballots here. And they just toss the other 2 out. Next election cycle, they get 3 ballots again. The thing is, I think it's a very lackadaisical attitude. And this is why, whether it's intentional cheating or just sloppiness, I think this is what pisses people off, because the vote matters and it impacts your life and mine if they send asses from California to represent the country.
And if you look at some of the trends, so, folks look at the data of those ballots coming in. So early and often, usually those are Republican. And there's people that pick apart this data. But then there were a lot of ballots specifically in this race, specifically in the mayoral race, that were this week or Monday. They were essentially last minute, people waiting to make a decision. And if you look at the trend, especially after the debate, there is more enthusiasm. I don't remember, of course, I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but covering the midterms just 4 years ago, if there was this much enthusiasm. Of course, at that point, obviously, Governor Newsom wasn't, term limited. So we are seeing a different scenario. But you have these outsider candidates, not only in the mayoral race, but also in the gubernatorial race, that are igniting a ton of enthusiasm that we don't always see in the midterms, right? We typically see people on the streets and protesting and up in arms and really excited, maybe in a general, like we saw 2 years ago. But this is a midterm. Ken, you and I are usually talking about how we're trying to get people out and voting. And of course, there's apathy in the midterms, but there's more enthusiasm, specifically with these outside candidates, that we have seen in a long time. So I think election integrity is something that we are talking about, because people are like, wait, I care. I'm actually going. I'm tired of my tax dollars being used improperly. I'm tired of, as you mentioned, the homelessness, the drug use, the unaffordability, all of these things. People are lit up. I have not seen this in some time.
What's amazing is the folks in California they have been wallowing in their crap for so long that they think there's no other way. It's been like 2 generations of stepping over homeless and needles, and they think, well, it's just the way of life. No, it's not. No place else in America, not in Manhattan, you don't have that. Well, maybe now it's just starting. It has been just starting. You don't have it. If you make it illegal to do it and you get people help mandatorily, you pull them off the street so they're not around schools injecting themselves, and you don't make it a haven. Look, you got great weather. You could live on the streets at night in California and in January and not freeze to death. So you are literally drawing people. Florida, you could do the same, but yet how come it doesn't exist there? It's because they enforce the laws in Florida. I lived there half the year, and I'm telling you, you do not see homeless anywhere. There is no open drug use. There's no defecation and vomiting in the streets. But yet you talk to Karen Bass, she makes it sound like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Are you a moron? Are we supposed to be that stupid? This is what gets me. It's like, but I think the people have now lived 1 or 2 generations with that mess, wallowing in their mess, that they think that is the only way of life because they're in a bubble.
Well, and they've either moved out, like we talked about Dean Cain last week, or they stayed there and they're pissed. And so I keep on going back to the mayor race because it really is a symbol of what's happening across the state. And you have this, you could say now really a Hollywood star, Spencer Pratt, who has captured the emotion. And you have the critics who say, well, he's not pragmatic. He can't balance a checkbook. You have the mayor saying he's never had a real job. Be careful what you say, mayor. You have a city full of actors who are looking for jobs right now. So when they say, I'll do just about anything, including reality TV for a paycheck, because it's unlivable, just be careful what you say. And you have him all about messaging. He can shoot a 60-second vertical. He can capture emotion. And if he says, you're right, I'm not fantastic with finances, I'll know a guy, I'll find a guy, I'll find the best guy I could ever find. Where have we seen that, and where has it worked? Right? Well, I'm sorry, I've seen this playbook before where they say, I'll find the right people, I'll hire the right people, I know the problem, so I'll find the solution. She should probably be thinking about her messaging at the same time because she's had the opportunity for the solutions. And how did that go? How did disaster relief go? How is the city going?
Yeah.
And we have a councilwoman who says, I can solve homelessness. How is it going?
Yeah, and by the way, most people would look at politicians as not real jobs, as opposed to actors. At least actors have to study lines. Politicians get paid to. Well, I'll stop. Let me stop.
We'll stop.
Tell us
I'll
what's
stop
happening.
you. We'll stop.
Yes, thank you. Tell us, my dear friend, what is happening on this week's Raising America podcast.
Well, we wrapped up California like you talked, even though we're still talking about it because it still isn't tabulated. But we're talking all things South Carolina. Why? It is a fight for red. They are seeing red in that state. That state is not going to go blue, but it is a lot of infighting. So we're showing you what's happening within the Republican Party. And then also, we talk about this in California, redistricting. That is a battle across the country. Why is it also important in South Carolina? We'll tackle all of those issues. And there are some outsiders coming for Senator Lindsey Graham. There's a lot going on, Ken, a lot going on in South Carolina, which we'll probably talk about next week because there's a primary there too.
Awesome. And that's why we love that you're on it. Journalist, mom, and wife, host of the Raising America podcast. You can find that on YouTube. You can find all of them, in fact. Very cool to check them out. News Nation's Elizabeth Pran. Thank you so much for coming on this morning, my friend.
I'll see you next week, Ken.
You bet. Looking forward to it. Have a great one. 59 minutes past the hour. Those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, if you haven't started to get mad at me yet, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching on New Jersey, we will be back with live local New Jersey news, weather, opinion, and traffic. Thanks for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. Back in 2. Very good morning, 8:01, Thursday, June 4th, 2026. This is on New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. If you are axing where summer is, well, we're going to ax no more because summer, it looks like, is here full swing. Although we had a heat wave already, so we know what
We
summer
did,
is.
but that was back in spring, like around Easter time. I mean, this is a
Still
nice
spring.
trend. This is true. It is still spring. So we had, it's the meteorological summer that gets everybody all excited. Whenever June hits, you go, oh, that's it. Off to the races with the warm weather. And we start off nice and warm this morning with temperatures already at 70 in Newark, even a little bit cooler up in Sussex at 57. But we're about the same temperature where we were yesterday, plus or minus a degree or two. The dew points, or the temperature where the air is saturated, anytime they're in the 40s and even low 50s, that's comfortable. So it remains dry today. We won't see that big uptick in humidity until this weekend. And even then, it's not all that substantial, just barely noticeable with that warm weather. The Futurecast has us nice and warm today, climbing into the upper 80s, approaching 90 this afternoon, feeling warm. But tomorrow, that's where we really see the warm up at 91 in Newark, 92 in Trenton, even down toward Toms River. Where you find yourself along a southeastern facing beach, say south of Toms River, it'll feel much cooler with that wind off of a 61-degree ocean. Saturday also very warm in the 90s, and then you see these storms pop up as soon as Saturday afternoon. They arrive throughout the evening, delivering not much cool weather, but just a little refreshing, drier feel for Sunday. As Sunday starts off a little cloudy, could see another passing shower, and then into Monday, the cooler weather settles in. So it's a nice warming trend over the next few days before a little bit of a cool down on the way for Sunday and especially into Monday. But 90s on the way, Ken. It'll feel lovely. We'll tell you more about it coming up in a few minutes.
Always appreciate the word lovely. Thank you very much, sir. It is currently 55 degrees. Pardon me. Excuse me as I cough. I just finished my coffee too. That's a bad thing. It is 8:03 right now, 55 degrees in northern New Jersey. We have, how is this possible? It says 55 northern New Jersey, 65 Trenton. So I guess as the sun is up, you'll see that change. That's quite a disparity. And right now we have 62 degrees in Vineland and 60 degrees in Cape May. So ranging from 55 to 65, depending on where you are in the state. That's a lot. Checking traffic, Garden State Parkway, we now have a vehicle off the roadway reported, and this is impacting local lanes southbound, south of exit 109, Tinton Falls. All lanes open to traffic, but people are slowing down as they go through there. Route 18 now, disabled vehicle northbound south of Morris Avenue in Piscataway. The center lane is closed. Never good to have a center lane incident because now you have to have emergency vehicles come in on the sides and people slow down. So just be careful passing there. Another issue on the Garden State Parkway. This is at, let's see. Oh, this is now, they're saying, okay, a crash at 109. They're reporting this twice, once as a crash, once as vehicle off the roadway. I'm assuming it's one and the same. It's at the same exit. One is saying Tinton Falls, the other is Middletown. We'll look into it and see why we got two reports. Could be two vehicles. New Jersey Turnpike, disabled vehicle right now, outer roadway, northbound south of interchange 13A by Newark Airport and Elizabeth with the right lane blocked. Crash investigation on 206, both directions, north of Trent Place, Montgomery. All lanes are currently closed there on 206 in Montgomery. We go over to our Hudson River crossings. The Holland Tunnel approach right now, 139 coming off of Route 78. Look at the folks going into the right tube, just an absolute mess. It's about 2 miles of delays going in. The Lincoln Tunnel, a little bit better at 30 minutes. That's going to cost you 35 to 40, what you just saw. GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach, not that bad at all. Look at that. It's only 10 minutes in. 10 minutes in is wonderful. So everybody head up to the GWB. Now watch that change in the next half hour. It is 8:05 and Montclair State University, beautiful Montclair State University, is stepping into an exciting new chapter, taking on a big role in New Jersey's media landscape. Beginning this summer, the university will oversee NJPBS, which is the Association of PBS Channels for the state of New Jersey, creating new opportunities for community engagement all across the Garden State. Dr. Keith Strudler is the Dean of Montclair State University's College of Communications and Media. We say good morning, Dr. Strudler. I feel like I'm back at NYU's. I went to Tisch School, and I feel like I'm going to get yelled at by my professor now, having you on.
No. Your degree, it's everything's good. We can't go back and change grades now. I promise you that. The diploma stands.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God. All right, we appreciate it.
I have
Doctor.
those same nightmares myself.
Just a quick aside. Cousin Bruce Morrow, cousin Brucey, actually taught me for 2 semesters at NYU, and I just saw him. I was doing some work at WABC Radio, and I saw him, and I said, "I don't know if you remember me," because he's in his advanced age now. And he said, "Oh, I remember you, cousin. You were a bad student."
Oh,
Nice
Ken,
to be known.
I'll give you one funny story, and then we can get into it. I ran track in college, and when you run track in college, yeah, you kind of form these lifelong friendships, and we go back for a lot of reunions. And I went back and I saw some old teammates that I hadn't seen for years, and I said, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a college dean now," and they kind of looked cross-eyed. They're like, "You had a hard time getting out of college." And so I actually use that story quite a bit with my students. I'm like, "Look, you're going to go through some patches, right? Like
Right.
we're gonna have ups and downs. You don't have to be perfect. Like you're gonna get there." So I like to think that can
Amen.
be inspirational.
Amen. And that is, and Montclair State is such a fantastic university and such a beautiful campus. And this is such an exciting and perfect fit. So you have the antenna right there, right? The broadcast tower is right behind you for one of the channels. I know when I used to work at Channel 7 is also up there. That's their backup tower. So you guys obviously know television. You have a great broadcast program. So I know you had to compete to get this, but now what does the future hold? Because it's tough today to manage any broadcast media because the audience is now split up all over the place with online, et cetera. So, what are the plans for the university with NJPBS?
So it's a great question. Obviously, there's a lot to unpackage there. And I think what you said kind of at the onset really kind of drives the entire conversation, which is really this is now an opportunity to serve communities across New Jersey. And I think that's going to drive everything that we do. Obviously, at the core, there's this kind of this the opportunity to lead a broadcast network, and which is very much a cornerstone of what New Jersey PBS is. But that can't be kind of the be all end all of what it is we're trying to do. And I think we have an opportunity to reimagine what public media can be, both in New Jersey and really kind of set the bar for places across the country, which is figuring out not only how do you serve them through traditional broadcast channels, but also what are the kinds of events that people would like to have across their communities? What are the kinds of community partnerships that might drive content creation? There are hundreds of storytellers across the state that have audience, that have communities, that serve publics. We want to engage with all of them. What's the digital kind of presence that we want to have? What's the social media presence that we want to have? So really, in conceiving this, it's very much kind of a blue sky whiteboard opportunity to say, yes, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're providing a very high quality broadcast experience. But it really all starts, and it started kind of quite some time ago with us listening to communities across the state and trying to figure out what it is they want and how it is they want to consume information.
Doctor, what I've kind of noticed is in mass media, and I've been doing this now. I'm almost 60 years old. Been doing it literally since I'm 12. I started on television at 12, and I've worked at 23 radio and television stations in large and small markets. And in all those years, I saw the industry change. I'm sure you have as well, from where radio stations were everywhere, the opening of an envelope, etc., to now it's all automated. It's all even the voices are tracked. There is no human reality. There's no tactile. There's no face-to-face flesh pressing the opening of a business. That's gone. That's gone. Not only in the big stations, the little stations, it's just there's just no connection. And people sense that. And I think that's why they started going away to their own thing and downloading MP3s. If you're not going to be there live for me, why should I bother? And I think TV started going that same way. Let's do everything network and we'll just carry the network. We'll do 2 minutes of local and we're good. No. And what ended up happening? People started tuning out of TV. And PBS started heading that same way. Let Channel 13 and Washington and WTTG, let them do all the programming and we'll just carry it and we'll do a 30-minute show once a week and we're good. Yes, it costs a lot of money to do local programming, but why shouldn't I watch Channel 13 then? Why should I watch one of the 7 signals outside of Channel 13? And by the way, and I'm sorry to make this such a long question, uh, Channel 13 is licensed to Newark. People forget it is a New Jersey signal, but it's not part of NJPBS. It's its own entity. But the thing is, you got 7 signals covering 9 million people. And I think so many people are hungry for something other than just carry the signal out of New York. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, you know this certainly better than I do. New Jersey is a peculiar animal, right? Where we are sandwiched in between these two massive media markets, and that brings a ton of advantage, the kind of information we get and the kind of cultural opportunities and so forth. But New Jersey has its own ecosystem, and it's critical. And I think this is often forgotten, and it's both for kind of just obvious reasons, but also economic reasons. It's really easy for this to just increasingly become a news desert. And certainly the folks at our Center for Cooperative Media are kind of at the vanguard of studying that and helping to solve that problem. But that's exactly what it is that we aspire to do in operating New Jersey PBS, which is to figure out where it is that people are not getting the local information that they deserve, and that they crave. And we're not presuming that people are going to engage and watch us simply because we're on a dial now or because we occupy a position in a spectrum, but we're hoping and assuming that they're going to come to us because we're giving them something that's not available, right? And so, and an interesting kind of story about how we went about this in kind of conceiving our bid. And there's the whole economics behind it, which you kind of alluded to, which is these things get on, it's expensive to operate these days. But some of the first conversations we had across the state, beyond kind of folks like you, newsmakers, information, people who are covering communities and so forth, is the universities across the state. So, you know, there's this kind of mythology that higher ed is a brutally competitive space, right? And we can't work with one another, and look, there's always some truth. I've been to the Iron Bowl. Alabama and Auburn don't always get along, but the reality is, like, that we live in a world that has to be more collaborative than competitive. That's just the reality of how we operate. If this country is going to work, particularly from a news ecosystem. And so one of the things we did was reached out to all of our university partners across the state, and we have double digits partnerships already in place with NJ Askew, with universities, you know, Rowan, a lot of the private universities across the state. There's just all of these folks now that we are already kind of having conversations with about how can they be engaged with this product, what's the information they want, how can they integrate this into their curriculum, how can they be kind of an outpost and tell stories. Because, you know, the other thing we're very clear about is we may be located in Montclair, New Jersey, which, as some people might know, is a bit of a media hub itself. But our goal is not to be associated as a northern New Jersey or a central New Jersey. This is a New Jersey network. So from the southern tip up to the northern tip, east, west, our goal is to make sure that we have kind of voices that are being reflected across the state.
Well, we stand up and applaud you. We congratulate you. If there's any place on the planet, any organization who can take this and make it work, it is yours. We're very proud of you, and we're excited for you. And whatever you need from us in any capacity, man, I got 40 some odd years in the business. Give us a call. We all want to see this work, and we're very, very excited about the future of NJPBS in your hands at Montclair State. Dr. Keith Strudler, Dean of Montclair State University's College of Communications and Media, that just went from this level to this level. We thank you for coming on. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
You bet. It's going to be exciting. And hopefully the next chapter for NJPBS is going to be better than the last, because it needs help. And I think those are the folks who can do it. Good for them. Ever wonder why everything gets coordinated at major airports, or how, like at Newark? How do they make it all work? When we come back, we'll speak with the vice president of the Newark hub for United Airlines. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:17. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a warm forecast for you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ken. Warm and sunny. Yeah, the sunshine will really be shining down all across New Jersey today. Very high with the UV, very clear. In fact, today's forecast highs make it up to 90 degrees away from the shore. Even the northern beaches there, from Long Branch right up to about Tom's River, you'll see the temperatures spike into the upper 80s. It's the southeastern facing beaches, even south of Atlantic City, that are a little bit cooler with that wind that comes in off of the water, making it feel like the upper 70s. So with a very high UV up at a 9 or an 8 today, probably getting to a 9 as soon as tomorrow, it'll look beautiful around New Jersey. And that really goes up and down the East Coast. All of the East Coast nice and clear as all the storms stay to the west. Those are the storms that arrive later on this week into the weekend, specifically Saturday afternoon. So if you have Saturday afternoon plans, keep an eye to the sky because there will be changes coming, especially after another gorgeous day tomorrow up at 91 over in Newark. Then we head into tomorrow evening. Temperatures start to cool down a little bit. The muggy weather moves in with the southwest wind, and then you see the showers and storms arrive. Those arrive briefly. They're fast-moving Saturday afternoon ahead of the cold front, which doesn't really drop temperatures, but really drops humidity into Sunday. And then Monday morning have another lingering shower as the winds change and bring in a cooler breeze from the north and northeast. Beyond that, it's a cooler pattern into next week. None of these 80s and 90s on the way. I think we'll be holding in the 60s and 70s for a better part of, say, Wednesday and Thursday, about a week from now, as a cooler trend takes over and brings back the dry weather, but also a little bit of a cool down on the way in just a few days. So get ready for the heat. 94 on Saturday, 87 by Sunday. Both days have chances of afternoon storms, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you as always. It is 63 degrees northern New Jersey and 65 in Trenton. So northern New Jersey had a moment of coolness. It has now come up as the sun has fully risen through the area. It's been a couple of hours since it fully rose. Whatever. It is 59 degrees though in Cape May, a little cooler by the ocean, and it is 60 degrees now in Vineland. We look at the issues on the roadways. We have 3 different issues on the Garden State, but none of which has a camera shot. Don't understand that. We have a disabled right now, Garden State Parkway, local lanes northbound at exit 105 Tinton Falls with the center lane blocked. Then we have an issue on 2 issues on by exit 109. One is a vehicle off the roadway at 109 Tinton Falls, and literally just 500 feet away, there's a crash, it says, and these are 2 separate incidents. Maybe one occurred because maybe the vehicle went off the roadway because the crash stopped traffic and they didn't want to collide, whatever. Who knows? But that's all at 109 on the Garden State Parkway. 206 crash investigation, both directions impacted north of Trent Place, Montgomery, with all lanes closed there. We have a disabled vehicle, Route 18 northbound south of Morris Avenue, Piscataway, 2 left lanes closed. And then let's see, 206. It says a crash investigation. We showed the camera though before. It didn't look that bad, but this says crash investigation 206, both directions north of Trent Place, Montgomery. All lanes closed. Your Hudson River crossings right now, your 139 approach from Route 78, Holland Tunnel, is going to cost you about 30 to 35 minutes. And you can see those middle lanes going into the right tube. They are impacted there. The Lincoln Tunnel approach is only about 25 to 30, and the GWB upper and lower level is wide open. If you need to get into Manhattan, go GWB. It's only 10 minutes and you can get across, especially upper levels on the right, lower on the left. Lower is a little more in terms of volume, but that's actually moving, as you can see. That's probably 10 to 15 lower, and the upper level is not even 10. So that's a good deal this morning. Take advantage. Pam, let's go 7:30. I'm sorry to talk tech here as I'm talking to you, but nonetheless, we move on. It is 22 minutes past the hour. A hostage standoff at a California bank building ended after a 15-hour law enforcement operation. The suspect barricaded himself inside after an initial bomb threat call, prompting a major response. FBI and local police negotiated during the standoff while surrounding the building. Authorities say the suspect was killed during an officer-involved shooting at the scene. All hostages were safely released and received medical evaluation after being found inside. Police have not released details on motive. The investigation remains ongoing. 22 minutes past, a Pennsylvania volunteer firefighter arrested for allegedly setting 3 fires within a 30-hour period. So again, think about that. That is a volunteer firefighter who set 3 fires. and then shows up. And this is not unusual. Some, I know psychologists have talked about this as sort of a hero complex in order to show up at the scene first and put out the fire. Some have, through history, done this. They've set fires. And this is just an allegation, but nonetheless, it's being investigated. Investigators say one fire occurred near the home of his former boss who had fired him. That could be revenge, allegedly. And authorities believe he later responded to at least 2 of the fires with his fire company. Evidence linked his vehicle and surveillance footage to all 3 arson incidents. The suspect admitted involvement during the questioning. And of course, more will be investigated. But that is not entirely unusual. That has happened in the past. It is now 8:23, and John Gouda is helping to lead operations at one of the busiest aviation hubs on the planet. As vice president of the Newark hub for United Airlines, he oversees a critical gateway that connects millions of travelers each year while supporting the region's economy and transportation network, and was recently honored at the Newark Regional Business Partnership's 2026 Transportation Awards breakfast. John joins us now to talk about the importance of Newark as a transportation hub. Congratulations on being honored, John, at the Transportation Awards breakfast. How are you today?
Doing great, Ken. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you this morning. And yes, pretty incredible event.
Yes, very cool. And I was just laughing with our director, Pam. I was like, here the man manages probably 1 million flights for United Airlines a year at Newark, and we can't get him online because our system is not working right. But thank you for your tolerance
We figured it
and your
out.
patience. That's it. We figured it out. You know what's funny? Somehow, whenever we have an 8-year-old dialing in for that, they always figure it out. We adults, we always have like, hey,
Yeah.
the microphone. It's just, and it's on our end. So, but we
Right.
appreciate you very, very much taking the time. So,
I'm happy to
Newark
be here.
Liberty, it's great to have you. And by the way, I will be there tomorrow taking that airline. Yeah, United, you are my airline. Newark Liberty plays such a vital role in the region. How would you describe Newark's importance to the economy of New Jersey and also the broader transportation network, being the hub right there?
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Critically important for the economy of the entire region. That's why us being a core founding member of Newark Regional Business Partnership is so important to United, because this is our hometown. Our employees, 15,000 strong, come from this area. We're a big part of the economic engine of the region, and very proud to be a New Jersey native here.
So what is it like? I know just the airport itself, and this is something that's entirely out of your hands. The physicality and location of Newark Airport has, since its inception, since it was built, has posed issues based on winds and the size. You can't grow, right? You're kind of surrounded on all sides. Like a JFK just goes on and on and on. And Newark is really limited, but you make magic happen. And people just assume it'll just keep happening. It's not an easy thing to make everything go smoothly at that airport, is it?
No, Ken, I appreciate what you said there. We definitely have geographical challenges. We are landlocked. There's no adding another runway here in Newark. And what the team does every day in partnership with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, our FAA partners, and everyone else that makes up the Newark community really is incredible. Here at United, we serve more than 50,000 customers every day, taking them to every part of the globe, doing that all safely, getting them out on time. In fact, in May, United was the #1 airline for on-time performance. That's getting you to where you are trying to go on time and safely in the whole New York City region. So I'm incredibly proud of the team that make that happen every day, and a big logistics operation, like you said, but something this team feels very strongly about doing and doing really well for our customers.
And you do very well. You seriously do. The Transportation Awards breakfast brought together leaders from aviation and rail and transit infrastructure. What is collaboration across all those specters, and why is it so important for the future of mobility to make a region work?
Sure, Ken. I mean, connectivity between all these modes of transportation, both here in New Jersey and, of course, importantly, just across the river in New York, really matters for our whole region. It matters for economic activity, but it also matters for our employees, for customers, for their ease of being able to transit. So when we work closely with the other modes of transportation here in New Jersey, better outcomes exist for our customers. And that's why the NLBP is so important, to bring in all those stakeholders together, and getting to celebrate them, of course, at last month's breakfast was really important too.
Awesome. And what are some of the biggest transportation challenges and opportunities that are facing the region over the next decade, and how will they be addressed?
Sure. I would say most impactful right now. We are so excited and getting really prepared across the whole of New Jersey transportation community for the World Cup and those guests that are going to come into Newark and then join us and experience a summer in New Jersey, in New York, get to see some great games played and really get to see what a wonderful state this is to live and work and enjoy while they're here this summer. And over the next decade, the
Mhm.
investment from United here in Newark and also from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey in Newark will continue and continue to build pace. As you hopefully seen, Ken, our Terminal A in Newark is an absolutely stunning, beautiful facility. Our customers love it, and they really enjoy going through there. And over the next decade, you're going to see continued investment into Terminal B as well. That's really the next terminal that needs some investment here at Newark, and we're working closely with the Port Authority to make that happen.
The Terminal A is so gorgeous. It's a pleasure to get there an hour or two early now because you can walk around and enjoy the shops and the restaurants. The food is good. Even the way you guys, well, I'm sure you had input, designed the bathrooms. Everything about Terminal A is just world class. It's so nice to see. Well, listen, on a personal aside, sir, I will be taking a United 787 Dreamliner for the first time, and I'm an aviation geek. I usually end up flying just your 737s. But I will finally be on a 7-8 tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. Tomorrow morning, I'll knock on your door when I
Please
get there
do.
and say hello.
Come say hi,
Absolutely.
Ken.
I will do so. Vice President of the Newark Hub for United Airlines. Busy man, busy job, and he does a great one. John Gouda, thank you for coming on this morning. Please come back again.
I will love to. Thank you for the time, Ken.
Thank you, sir. All right, 8:29 right now. Not an easy job, and they do it pretty darn well. When we come back, we'll speak with an oncologist. We'll talk about some big advances and the improvements we must still have in the world of cancer. Phone lines open, 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. Very good morning. It is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. Right now, we have 62 degrees northern New Jersey. It is 65 degrees in Trenton, 60 degrees in Cape May. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Sunny and hot today. Highs around 90, but the next day or two could even get into the upper 90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will explain with all the details. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ken. Did you say you're taking a Dreamliner this weekend?
Yes, so that's the 787. It's the first time I will have ever
Yeah.
been on board. I've been on just about everything else from a DC-8 to a 7.2. I've never been on a 787, so it's going to be exciting.
Ken, it was what we took on our honeymoon, and I gotta say, if you get a window seat, you can play with the electronic window shading, darken it and lighten it and darken it, and kind of freak out your wife when you're like, "Hey, look, the sun is purple," because it's so opaque. But very, very cool. So enjoy that. Enjoy that. We'll you have to take
Sure.
pictures. Got to take
Yes.
pictures. Very fun. Yeah, it's like it's a quiet as a living room. It's such a luxurious
Nice.
experience. And today you've got a luxurious experience weather-wise, with the dry weather sticking around all through this afternoon. I want to fast forward to Sunday because a lot of ambiguity onto how much sun we'll get by Sunday afternoon, and I think there will be some, especially later on in the day. The computer's saying, "Hey, I really want to hang on to Sunday, so let's go ahead and advance this." But with our weather looking a little bit cooler than average going into next week, we start off this weekend a little dry, and then it turns nice and warm by the time we get into early next week, and turn a little bit drier into the end of next week with that lovely feel. It's dry right now, not a cloud on the satellite picture, staying clear all throughout the weekend, and with our forecast looking a little cooler at the beaches by about 7 to 10 degrees inland. Today, you head inland and you'll likely hit the low 90s. It'll feel very pleasant with the light breezes, but the pollen still out there. It's a struggle if you're an algae sufferer with the trees and grasses at the moderate to high level. With today's high getting up to 86, it's above our average high of 78 degrees. And again, the clear sky lasts all throughout today into tomorrow. Water temperatures, they're slowly creeping up through the 60s, but this is the time of year where you get a little bit of upwelling. The warm water at the surface layer blows off and the cooler water pools up from below. So we'll probably see those temperatures dip once more. Heading into the weekend, I think we're dry most of the morning on Saturday, best chance of afternoon showers, and then Sunday has another pop-up chance for some rain, but honestly, that really doesn't tell the whole story. The most opportunity for rain will be on Saturday evening, especially if you have those outdoor plans. So we finish off the work week dry, more clouds tomorrow, a touch more humidity by the start of the weekend. And then these are the showers and storms that line up ahead of the front that moves on down for Sunday morning with that cooler weather in place, a little bit of a breeze coming off of the water. I think Monday is much cooler with clouds and some showers around as well. So after so much warm weather, temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 90s right through Saturday, we see a cool down through Sunday, 70s, and then likely stay in the low and mid 80s throughout Tuesday and Wednesday. Even a little bit cooler at the beaches next week as well, with the shore points looking decent into next week. Average cool is what our average warmth, I should say, is what we like heading into the second week of June. Gotta ease us in, Ken, to the hot summer heat.
All right. Yes, indeed. I like when I perked up when you said average cool. I was like, all right. Thank you so much, sir. We'll check back with you in just a little bit, Mike. 61 degrees northern New Jersey. It is 65 in Trenton. A lot of issues on the roadways. Let's start with 287. We have a crash with injuries southbound at exit 35, Route 124, Morristown. The ramp lane closed. If you look to the left side of your screen, you can see the closure of the ramp with the police car there. Pardon me. And they're working on that. Rescue vehicles trying to take care of the folks there. Let's move over and let you know about what's happening. Let's see, Route 18. We have a disabled vehicle, and this is Route 18 northbound. We'll take a look right now. In fact, they just popped it off my screen, but if we have the traffic there it is. You can see Route 18 northbound. You see the traffic there on the left side of your screen, pretty much bumper to bumper, and that's going to cost you about 30 minutes. That's Piscataway. 30 minutes getting off just because that backs up a good mile or so. We have a crash investigation right now. This is 206. Let me cough, excuse me. Route 206 in both directions, north of Trent Place, Montgomery Township. All lanes currently closed there. Now, as we get over to the Lincoln Tunnel, this is now reported as 40 to 50 minutes in at the Lincoln. Earlier, this was actually a good ride, but you're looking at the 495 approach to the Helix, and it's now 40 to 50 minutes. That is an absolute mess at the Lincoln. I have been in that many times. There's nowhere to go and nothing to do. So good luck to the folks there. There are other alternatives right now. Although the Holland may not be the best, the Holland is only going to be 25 to 30. We'll take a look. Pam, you could show us the 139 just in comparison. The camera shot going from Route 78, 139 into the Holland Tunnel. It's heavy, but that's 25 to 30 as opposed to 50. So that'll shave off about 20 minutes, and it's not that hard to get there. If you're approaching the Lincoln, it's like another 5 minutes to get to the Holland. So that might be a better bet. Otherwise, if you are by the middle point, like toward the Lincoln, you could go north. It's 12 miles north of the GWB. Take a look at this. GWB is wide, smacking open, and that's only going to take you about 10 minutes in. Upper level is on the right, lower level is on the left. 8:38 is the time, and cancer research has led to remarkable advances in recent decades, helping millions of people to live longer and healthier lives after a cancer diagnosis. But significant challenges remain, including late detection, misdiagnosis, and the need for more research into rare cancers. Dr. Maggie Fader is an oncologist and chief medical officer at First Ascent Biomedical. She is here to discuss where cancer care is making progress, where the gaps still exist, and how AI could now help improve outcomes for patients. We say good morning to you, Dr. Fader.
Good morning. How are you?
It's wonderful to have you on. Thank you. Yeah, I'm fascinated by how far we've come with cancer research and treatment between using the new it's the word I'm looking for, the new biologics and whatnot, and treatment and just early detection and the techniques for early detection. And I know that with early detection, your chance of a positive outcome is so much better. So please talk about where we are and where we need to go.
Well, like you said, I'm a pediatric oncologist, so I specialize in taking care of children with cancer. And like you said, they've made extreme progress in certain types of cancers, like the childhood leukemia is the biggest one for us, a huge success story. We used to lose 90% of our patients to this disease, and now we can say the opposite, that we cure more than 90% of these patients. So the biologics, like you mentioned, immunotherapies and certain targeted therapies have really helped with that. And that came by identifying specific features that were unique to this type of cancer that has really helped us target it better and also lower some of the more toxic things that we used to give and reduced some of those old generic chemotherapies that just sort of hit you in general and were less precise. So the place where we have not made a lot of progress is the world of what we call solid tumors, and those include bone cancers and cancers of soft tissues, organs. And in that world, we've been struggling, and it's because those tumors tend to be so heterogeneous. There's no one size fits all for therapy. So, we have a few standards of care that have given us so-so outcomes, and those are what we start with. But when these children relapse and this cancer comes back, we're left with just pulling whatever we can off the shelf to treat them and hoping that we can buy them time. And there's a very poor chance of cure in those situations. So at First Ascent, we have developed a technology. We actually did that through studies through Nicholas Children's Hospital and Florida International University over the last 8 years. And what we do is take individuals' tumor specimens and process those in our lab, disassociate that patient's unique cancer cells, and test them against a whole array of FDA-approved therapeutic agents. And we can test 100, 200 different chemotherapy agents, and even use those in an AI program that will score the efficacy of each of those drugs and even test them in combinations with each other so that we can come up with a personalized cocktail of therapy for the individual patient. And we've seen great improvements and improvement in both not only stable disease, but overall response rate.
Dr. Fader, that's my mouth is agape off camera as you say this. So instead of trying, like, I mean, when I say guinea pig, that's not your intent. Your intent is to try to save their life. But instead of trying drug after drug after drug on the person, you take the tumor, little cells of the tumor, and you let AI basically treat those cells in a dish and see what works. Is that basically what you're talking about? So this way, you're not trying the drugs on the individual potentially having side effects. You do it on the tumor.
Right. We take those cells, we put them into a big, it's very fancy when you look at it. It's kind of cool. But you plate all those cells into individual wells. We actually do this test in triplicate so that we can verify the results. And you use nanoparticles of drug and test those against all the cells. And then we see how well that drug performed on those cells in the lab before we use them in the patient.
That is amazing. So for everybody who thought in the past when they made a donation to the American Cancer Society, et cetera, where is the money going and is it working? Clearly, it took a lot of years, but it's amazing. And is it me, or are we starting to see this more exponentially with AI? We see exponential growth in even biologics. I remember when we first heard the term years ago, we thought, what's this? And the idea of training your own body's cells to go after the cancer. It's like having a key in a lock and unlocking it, and suddenly the cells are going after the cancer as if it's a virus. This is brilliant. And do they keep evolving and changing as well?
They do. We've noticed that if we start to treat somebody and they are having a response and the response slows down, let's say, okay, the drug stopped working, what's going on? We retest and we can see changes, and then we can adjust our treatment. So we have made a treatment adjustments based on that. And we've also noticed that you can sample two different areas. Let's say they have a tumor in the abdomen and a tumor in the lung. Those two samples might yield slightly different results. And so what we try to do is find a combination of therapy that overlaps both of those areas so that we can try to treat everything.
And of course, rare cancers account for such a surprisingly large percentage of cancer cases. I think a lot of people, I was shocked when I read that. Why do these cancers often receive less attention? Is it just that you could put the money into taking care of somebody? If there's a large number of people affected by a certain cancer, obviously the money's going to go there because you have more people to treat. Is that basically what happens?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has limited resources. Cancer research costs a lot of money. I mean, these things we're using are expensive. All the reagents we have to use, all the manpower that it takes to come up with all of this stuff. And really, I think that both the pharmaceutical industry and even on the kind of, what should I say, like the epidemiology kind of approach by the government who funds all of these things, you look at where you can make the biggest impact. And so they go to the big populations first. And then unfortunately, those people who suffer from the more rare cancers kind of get left out of everything. So osteosarcoma in adults is maybe 1% of cancers. And then you have breast cancer that gets, 9 women out of every 9% of women are going to get breast cancer. So, you go where the bigger population is that you can impact quickly, but we still need to worry about those kids. And, we have 500 patients a year with children with osteosarcoma, another 500 a year with Ewing sarcoma, and then the list goes on. So we're talking about thousands of children every year who are kind of getting left out of the picture in research. And because those tumors are so heterogeneous and so unique, maybe the mainstream approach to just doing a clinical trial where everyone gets the same drug isn't going to be the answer anyway. So we are looking at this as a way to give them other options.
Well, thank God you're on it. We appreciate your brilliance and your work and your research. And thank you for saving lives and extending them as much as you can. Oncologist and Chief Medical Officer at First Ascent Biomedical. First Ascent Biomedical. Dr. Maggie Fader. Thank you so much for joining us. I need a second cup of coffee is what I need. It was a pleasure, Doctor.
Nice talking to you.
Okay. Likewise. It is 8:46. We're back in 2. 8:48. Welcome back to Mornings. We go straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. And Mike, our director Pam, who's not a fan of the hot weather, she told me she had a 500-pound block of ice dragged into the control room so she could sit on that during the show.
It's all about the tons of ice you'll need to keep cool this weekend. The tons. Yeah, going into the end of the weekend because we have highs that approach 95 degrees, Ken. Now, that's not with a ton of humidity. It'll actually feel quite pleasant with the lower level of humidity, but it's that dry air that's also making our drought a little bit worse. With the rainfall deficit of 1 to 2 inches in the area shaded in red, we keep that moderate drought across northern New Jersey. The severe drought extends south of 195. You look around in the areas that aren't on sprinklers or aren't watered regularly, it's starting to get brown. Even the hanging baskets in the backyard with the plants and flowers, the flowers look like this after a few days because there isn't much water to go around. And so with the little bit of rainfall we get this weekend coming off of the next few days with highs in the 90s, we actually keep it dry in the long range going through June 14th, the next 2 weeks. Average rainfall will be less than average, and then even with a warm up ahead through June 18th, you see this blob of red move eastward. That's that warmer than average weather that gets going by the middle of the month of June. So there are some rain chances ahead for Saturday and Sunday, but they're kind of the hit or miss variety with a passing shower or storm. Maybe give us half an inch, certainly nowhere near enough to give us a good drink after the ongoing drought. And then we cool things off a bit by Monday into Tuesday of next week with temperatures cooling off into the 70s, back in the 80s with sunshine clear through the next week. So a little bit of rainfall forecast again Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon, and then beyond that cooler and dry into next weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. It is 8:50 right now. Have a good day, by the way, and a nice weekend, Mike. 62 degrees northern New Jersey, 65 degrees in Trenton. And we'd like to say that the following is brought to you by our dear friends at AARP New Jersey. Medicaid and SNAP benefits are critical resources for so many families across New Jersey. But with recent updates and changes, many residents may have questions about what these changes mean for them and what steps they need to take to maintain coverage and benefits. Dr. Stephen Cha is Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. We say good morning to you, Dr. Cha.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Nice to have you on, sir. And there are major changes happening now with Medicaid this year. So explain what those changes are, please.
Sure. So just backing up, about 1.85 million New Jersey residents are enrolled in NJ Family Care, which is our New Jersey version of Medicaid. Now, about 30% of those New Jersey residents, about 540,000, got coverage through the Affordable Care expansion, and that's exciting and fantastic. Those folks, however, will be subject to new eligibility requirements under what we call H.R. 1, the budget bill that was passed by Congress last year. So this budget bill creates new requirements for all those people, all those 540,000 people. We're worried, and some people have projected that we may lose as many as 330,000 New Jerseyans who could lose NJ Family Care due to these new federal burdens. And we're really concerned about that and trying to work with folks to make sure folks are tracking on that.
And for folks who may not understand what H.R. 1 was, under the Trump administration, there was some Medicaid fraud in pockets of the country. And unfortunately, because of a few people who were the bad guys, the good people who desperately need Medicaid now may slip through the cracks. And that's what stinks. These people desperately need Medicaid, and they may go to get health coverage in an emergency and find out, oh, you're no longer eligible. So what is it that every few months they have to kind of renew again and kind of reprove that they need to stay on Medicaid?
That's exactly right. And so just to be clear, a lot of these changes don't start for some time. So we have time. This isn't a tomorrow thing. Most of these changes start to take effect. Certain undocumented immigrant populations start to lose coverage in October of this year. The bigger changes start in January of next year. But we want to be sure that people are understanding what's happening and what we're doing now in partnership to be sure people can tackle some of these challenges. Just as you said, we're going to have more federal burdens. They're going to have to prove that they're working, what they call community engagement requirements. And it's going to have to happen every 6 months. Most people are used to doing this every year. For that 540,000 who got coverage of the Affordable Care Act, that 30%, you're going to have to do it every 6 months starting in January. So it's good to begin the conversation now about what that's going to mean.
So your team is active right now in helping residents navigate the updates and make sure that people don't accidentally lose coverage, because you don't want to be in a catastrophic accident, find out you're not covered.
That's exactly right. So the governor's budget, which is before the legislature now, invests in systems and partnerships to prevent these unnecessary coverage losses. And I should be clear that those folks who are going to lose coverage, that 330,000 New Jerseyans that I talked about, the vast majority of them are still eligible. They're still eligible for coverage. It's just that they're not going to get through all the paperwork hurdles and burdens that are now put upon them because of that HR 1 bill that was passed. So the governor's budget puts about 10 million more to strengthen the coordination amongst state agencies and counties. And counties are the front door for a lot of these benefits. To invest in some vendors to help us modernize our systems. And it also includes 71 million, because one of the other things the bill did was just remove money from the administrative cost for the SNAP, the nutrition benefits. So the governor's budget puts 71 million to support those county agencies, again, because they are our front door for both nutrition and health benefits to get people access. So we're just trying to focus for the rest of the year to make our systems work better, to take these investments in both county partnerships and our vendors and make this work better for people. We want all eligible residents to stay on the program as much as we can.
Sadly, so many people who are on Medicaid are the very people who are unable to get the mail, read the mail, figure out multiple pages of complex forms, fill them out, get it. Those are the people that need the help the most. And unfortunately, they're the ones we're obviously most concerned about. But what should people do if they get that renewal paperwork or notice in the mail? What's the first thing they need to do?
Yeah, so we're going to be reaching out to contact all of our beneficiaries by fall 2026 of this year with more information. And again, for 70% of our beneficiaries, don't need to do a thing. Don't worry, relax. For those people who got coverage through the ACA, there's a bunch of hoops and hurdles that you have to go through, and we'll be giving you more information if those changes apply to you. But yeah, I got to say, it is hard to track mail, and we understand that's challenging. We'll have customer service lines open. We're already talking to community partners and trying to think about how we can get those messages out, talking to our providers and hospitals. But watch for your letters, emails, texts. Make sure your contact information is up to date, and be sure you open and respond to all that mail as soon as possible. We're starting to send some of those alerts out now just to get people prepared, but we do have some months before people really need to take action.
Yeah, for people who don't realize, Medicaid is almost half the budget. And not just this state, but most states around the country. Medicaid is huge because healthcare is so expensive. We kind of started to deal with it in the last couple of decades, and we kind of dropped the ball. And this is still a major problem. Doctor, if people have questions or need help with Medicaid or SNAP, where can they go? What website can they go to, or whom can they contact right now?
Absolutely. You can call the NJ Family Care customer service at 800-701-0710, or go to our website at dhs.nj.gov. So we're here to help support people. We want to make sure that your contact information is up to date, and make sure that both, and we didn't talk about the SNAP, but more than 800,000 New Jersey residents also rely on SNAP, and we're seeing projected benefits losses as well because of that budget bill. So it's both nutrition and the healthcare that we're really trying to figure out how we can move forward here.
Wow. Well, thankfully, you're on top of it and helping so many people out. Dr. Stephen Shaw, Commissioner of the New Jersey Department of Human Services. Thank you for this very important information, and thanks for coming on this morning.
Appreciate you.
All right, it's 8:57 right now. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says we will have mostly sunny and hot conditions today. Highs about 90 degrees, and it gets even hotter tomorrow with highs into the mid-90s. And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday, June 4th, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us on onnj.com, onlaca.com, onfla.com, Roku, Fire TV News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we stream live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. Catch you again tomorrow morning starting at 7. Tell all your friends about us. Till then, have a great day.